The Ducati Panigale, one of the most desirable motorbikes in the world. Did you know as well she has the best power to weight ratio of any production motorcycle ever built? Not only that, she looks incredible, sounds amazing, and if you ever take one on track, you'll be blown away. And there's another bonus, which we really like here at Bike World, is she's rather insane. Problem is, in the past, I've equated owning a Ducati sports bike as to being very similar to having an Italian model girlfriend. They're beautiful to look at, full of passion, and you'll be the envy of all your friends having one. But could you live with one every day? I decided it was time to find out, and luckily I managed to persuade Ducati to lend me a Panigale for a few weeks to use as my everyday transport. And just by pure coincidence, I happen to have an Italian model girlfriend.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. It's not like we just hire a model and pretend.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Now, you're probably thinking at this moment, hang on a second, Luke, didn't you guys review that at its launch at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi? And yes, we did, and we know exactly how good this bike is on track, but we haven't had a chance to really test it on the UK roads yet. Well, that, and for some reason the director gave me a budget and I accidentally blew it all on an Italian model. Now, one of the first things I noticed about our Italian friend was that you can never predict when you met her what mood she would be in. She might be happy, she might be sad, she might be chilled out, or she might be insane. Who knew? And it used to be a bit similar to Ducati sports bikes in the past, but not anymore. This is the first red Italian sports bike from Ducati to have a mode select button. In other words, you can tell it which mood you want it to be in. And that's without the promise of having to buy them champagne, flowers, chocolate, or a ridiculously large and expensive diamond ring. And it really is that simple. You have three modes. You want the full, fat beastie for the track with lap timer and everything set up perfectly. Even the electronic suspension, if you've got the S model, put it in race. You want the ultimate road sports bike with the same amount of power, just with everything a little bit softened out. You put it in sport mode. Then there is the wet mode. Now, trust me when I say you really don't have to be wet, although I am getting wet now, to try this. Say you're stuck in traffic, you're riding around town, you're just commuting, you don't really fancy it, you've got a headache, it's raining, whatever it is, it takes it down to 120 brake horsepower, smooths out the lower rev range like you wouldn't believe, and turns this bike from a snarling Panigale into more of a tame Ducati monster. So I reckon that's score one for the bike. Another thing about having an Italian girlfriend is that communication can sometimes be, well, a bit of a one-way street. Honestly, sometimes it's like she completely ignores me. She's doing it now, isn't she? Luckily, this bike's completely different. It gives you so much feedback. It literally talks to you and tells you what is going on with your front wheel, your back wheel, with the engine, that you know what it's going to do before it even does it. When my girlfriend's not ignoring me, she's often shouting at me, as you can see. Luckily though, it's normally within society's accepted decibel levels. So unfortunately, this is where the Ducati falls down. Yes, this is one of the loudest motorcycles I've ever ridden. Yes, it sounds incredible. I love the sound of it, but my neighbours don't. And that's a problem, because every time I come home semi-late at night or leave early in the morning for work, I not only wake up my neighbours, I wake up the entire street, the next street over and the neighbouring village. It really is that loud, and there's one more issue as well. We have a 104 decibel limit here on our track days in the UK, and this scores way over that on the test. Now, Ducati are working on a fix, but until then, you can't take the Panigale, one of the world's best track bikes, out on a UK track day. So I reckon that's score one for the missus. Now, I don't mean to sound sexist, but we all know at times our girlfriends can be a little high maintenance, especially the Italian types. And it used to be the same with Ducati sports bikes, but that is so a thing of the past. The build quality now is some of the best out there. It really is. They're so reliable. None of the old oil dropping stories you used to hear are true anymore. And they've doubled the service interval from 7,500 miles to 15,000 miles. Now, the only problem with taking your girlfriend to all these fancy bars, restaurants and salons is that someone has to end up paying for it all. And unfortunately, my credit card bill now looks like a list of MP's expenses. The Ducati isn't exactly cheap either. This standard model comes in at £15,000. The S with the incredible electronic suspension, which if you can afford you have to get, is £20,000. And the special edition Tricolor S is £23,000. You get a rather nice fancy paint job for that. It may seem a lot of money, but considering what you're getting for that cash. As I mentioned before, this is the best power to rate ratio of any motorcycle ever made. It looks spectacular. You get traction control, you get an engine braking management system, you get ABS, and you get a quick shifter. Plus, with the 3 mode settings, this genuinely can be your track bike, your crazy sports bike for a mad Sunday morning blast, and a commuter bike. Honestly, for £15,000, I reckon that's good value. And add to that, we've been getting 36 miles per gallon from this little beauty. So then, the Panigale. It shares all the best traits of having an Italian girlfriend. Classy, sexy, passionate, well put together. Yet in the past, it would also share some of the bad habits, like being intimidating, hard to handle, and unreliable. But for the first time ever, Ducati have really nailed it for me and hit it on the head by also making it practical, manageable, and honestly, usable as an everyday bike. Now, if only Ducati would make girlfriends, eh?